Carla and Norman's Terrible End, a chilling tale of vampiric vengeance. Norman had never believed in vampires, but he had heard the tales. In a small town such as his, it was an easy thing to hear and even easier to ignore. That changed the night he met Carla. He had seen her around town before, often rushing about on errands he could not understand. She always seemed to be in a hurry, as if she were on some important mission. On the night in question, Norman was walking home from work when he saw her in a dark alleyway. The street was quiet and devoid of any other person. She stood close to the wall, her figure silhouetted against the pale moonlight. Norman stopped, transfixed by her beauty. She looked up at him with her large, dark eyes and motioned him closer. He hesitantly stepped forward, not sure what was to come of this. Carla beckoned him closer still, and whispered in a soft, sweet voice. She told him that she was in desperate need of help, and Norman, in the presence of her beauty, could not deny her request. She told him that she was being hunted by a vampire, an ancient creature of the night who had been terrorizing the town for years. She was scared and she needed his help to survive. The two of them hid in an abandoned warehouse, creating a crude shelter from the outside world. It was a place where they could talk without interruption, a place where Carla felt safe from the vampires. Norman listened as she told him of her plight, of how she had been bitten by a vampire and now was slowly turning into one herself. She was trying desperately to fight the transformation, but the vampire's blood was too strong. She needed the help of someone like Norman to free her from her fate. Norman agreed to help, feeling like he had no other choice. He could not let Carla become a vampire, not when he already cared for her so deeply. The two of them gathered whatever weapons they could find and set off into the night. They tracked the vampire to an old abandoned mansion at the edge of town. They cautiously made their way inside, knowing that this was the vampire's lair. As they searched the dark corridors, Norman could feel his heart pounding in his chest and his skin crawling with a mixture of fear and excitement. Finally, they reached the vampire's chamber and were met with a horrific sight. There, suspended in midair, was the vampire himself. His eyes were a deep red and his skin was pale and stretched tight over his skeletal frame. He was a fearsome sight and Norman had to fight the urge to turn and run. The vampire spoke, his voice low and menacing. He told them that the only way to save Carla was to allow him to bite and drink her blood, turning her into a vampire like himself. He told them that it was the only way to ensure her survival, and Norman, not knowing what else to do, reluctantly agreed. The vampire sank his teeth into Carla's neck and drank her blood. Norman watched, terrified, as her body began to transform. Her skin became pale, her hair grew thin, and her eyes took on a dark, glazed look. The vampire had done it. Carla was now a vampire. Norman had saved Carla, but at a horrible price. He had unleashed a monster and he had no idea what it would do. As the vampire and Carla flew off into the night, Norman ran back home, his heart filled with horror and dread. He knew that the vampire and Carla would be unstoppable. They would be an unstoppable force of terror, taking the lives of innocent people and spreading their darkness throughout the town. Norman had created a monster and he could only fearfully await the fate of the town. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and tell us what you think in the comments. And of course, don't forget to subscribe.